Water everywhere. The biggest storm in years brings Bay Area commutes to a screeching halt. Giant sinkholes swallowing streets, roofs collapsing, and stranded drivers ditching their cars. Good evening. I'm Ken Bastida in for Alan tonight.
And I'm Elizabeth Cook. We want to give you a taste of some of the trouble spots around the Bay Area today. We've seen the most rain in the North Bay. Take a look at this. Water flooded classrooms at the Casa Grande High School in Petaluma. They had to sweep out a foot of water. Others made the most of the rain. Chopper 5 spotted one person paddleboarding in Mill Valley floodwaters. And the rain and winds were so strong it uprooted this massive tree in Saratoga. On the verge of falling over, crews got right to it, cutting it down before it could damage nearby homes.
Now, some of the biggest headaches in the North Bay today. A combination of high tide and rainwater closing 2 lanes of southbound traffic on Highway 101, creating an epic backup. KPIX 5's Da Lin begins our team coverage from soggy Marin County. Da?
Very soggy and just a mess out here. I mean, there was so much rain it flooded streets, homes, and businesses. Many shops at this Tiburon shopping center were underwater this morning. Take a look at this right here. This was the water line from this morning, and you can see, hopefully you can see it, it's about 19 inches high. Roads turn into rivers. Chopper 5 captured a man paddling his board on a flooded street in Mill Valley. Some who tried to drive through the flood water stalled. Their cars left under inches, sometimes feet of water.
But, you know, you can't fix stupid.
It was so windy at times the rain was coming down sideways. Widespread flooding caused a traffic nightmare this morning. The CHP shut down several lanes on southbound 101 in the city of Marin, causing delays of up to 3 hours for North Bay drivers, with the backup going all the way to Novato. And not too far away, this Larkspur intersection covered in 2 feet of water.
I've got a white Prius here, and I'm going.
You going for it?
I am going for it, my friend.
Why take the risk?
It's taken me almost an hour to get about 2 miles. I want to get home.
He made sure to drive on the highest part of the road, and his Prius made it through. And we saw car after car after car go for it. Even a post office truck went for it. A large apartment complex right next to it had part of its parking lot flooded. This woman lives in the complex and is desperate to get home. Is there no other way to get around there?
No, I waited 2 hours.
You waited 2 hours?
Yeah, to get back home, and I couldn't get in.
Everyone knows we need the rain, but they say not this much rain. The water is slowly receding in this area, but the work is just beginning. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll give you a close-up look of why some of these shops will be closed down for at least this entire week. And for one business owner, that cost could even go higher. Live in Tiburon, I'm Da Lin, KPIX 5.
Along the Sausalito shoreline, water came right up to the back doors of these homes.
And a driver in San Jose paid the price for trying to plow through a flooded underpass. This woman had to leave her boots behind as she was rescued from the Alameda in downtown. She says she watched the car ahead of her make it, and our Kit Doe explains how she found herself stuck in several feet of water.
To give you some idea of the force of all that rushing water, the woman was coming down the hill in the left lane. The water slammed into the driver's side and then pushed her clear into the next lane.
It took 4 hours for crews to drain the water, clear the roadway, and retrieve the woman's car. KPIX 5's Len Ramirez is at the Santa Cruz Mountains. Len, the South Bay got slammed today as well, didn't they?
Sure did. It has been years since the Santa Cruz Mountains have been hit by such a 1-2 punch of wind and rain. You can see the PG&E trucks and crews that are staging up here in the Lexington Reservoir area, ready to respond to the calls for service that they know will be coming. But just driving around these mountains can be dangerous.
Driving through a heavy downpour on twisty Highway 17 can be nerve-wracking, but try doing it when you can't see a thing. That was scary. At a spot where the pavement surprisingly turned into a riverbed, the car in front put up such a rooster tail, it was like trying to steer a submarine through a waterfall.
There were a couple times last night I thought we were having a tornado because it had that kind of a hard driving train sort of sound. It was hammering on the roof so hard. It's pretty bad.
The wind and the rain came in waves, each seemingly adding an inch at a time to the rainfall gauges. It was too much for the roof at this CVS store in Felton, which collapsed under the water's weight, flooding the store and forcing it to close for the day and maybe longer.
It looks like a car wash. It's so wet in there.
It happened at 3 in the morning and no one was hurt.
Picked up about 3.5, maybe 4 inches of rain since last night, so it's been really wet.
Now, although the PG&E crews behind me are waiting for their next assignment, there are many other crews that are responding to trees down throughout the Santa Cruz Mountains. In fact, one closed a highway, Highway 9 here in the Santa Cruz Mountains earlier today. We'll show you some more of that, kind of what's been going on up here tonight at 6. Reporting live in the Santa Cruz Mountains, Len Ramirez, KPIX5.
Yeah, it wasn't just rain coming down in the South Bay. Live power lines toppled onto 4 homes in East San Jose. We saw one back fence smoldering as firefighters waited for PG&E to arrive. Now, there are still about 1,400 customers without power in San Francisco alone, along with another 1,300 along the peninsula, about 650 in the North Bay, and a few dozen in the East Bay. Other big story with this storm, the wind. It was howling down in Pacifica, whipping up the waves. Paul Diano tracking it all. Paul?
What a 2-day stretch here. The wettest 2-day stretch in San Francisco since 2008. The wettest week for the entire Bay Area in exactly 2 years. The headline tonight is on KPIX5 high-def Doppler radar, the worst of the wind, the thunderstorms, and the heaviest rain. It's all now finished. We will still see scattered showers out there like we are currently in the South Bay. Morgan Hill, some light to moderate showers heading your way, and out toward Livermore we're seeing a few showers. That will continue throughout the evening, but the stuff that caused all the flooding and power outage issues, that is now pushed off to the east. Take a look at these rainfall totals. Los Gatos, nearly 7 inches of rainfall. Morgan Hill, more than 3 inches. San Jose, officially 2.5 inches. That just since Monday morning. Martinez, Pleasanton, 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. Fremont, nearly 3 inches of rain. Officially in downtown San Francisco, more rain has fallen over the past week than all of 2013. That's crazy. Pacifica, nearly 4 inches of rainfall. Burlingame, more than 4 inches of rainfall. Novato, you had 5 inches of rain. And St. Helena, 3.94 inches of rain. It poured everywhere. I know you're wondering, is the drought over? The answer is absolutely not. But we did take a very big chunk out of our rainfall deficit. Talking about 3 years of rain that we did not receive over the past week, we have erased up to 10% of our long-term drought. That is amazing considering we're talking about 7 days' time. We still have more rain to talk about in the 7-day forecast. We'll have that coming up.
All right, look forward to that. Thank you, Paul. Well, one San Francisco street was not ready to handle this much rain, giving way to a giant sinkhole. Take a look at this. It's massive, more than 20 feet wide. It's in the Lake Street neighborhood, and with more rain in the way, it could be a while before it's fixed. KPIX5's Mike Sugerman with how an aging pipe system is to blame. Mike?
Well, as you're looking at the sinkhole that ate 6th Avenue, you could stand on my shoulders and your head would barely pop up out of the ground. And crews are working as hard as they can to fix this thing because they know more rain is coming. George Baccarita heard it before he saw it. Crunch! Then he got closer and it sounded different. What he heard and eventually saw was 6th Avenue giving way to a system he knew was old.
The water pipes in front of my house still have the Spring Valley water cap on them.
Spring Valley, that's the company that became the city's water department in 1930. And after investigation, the city found these pipes were even older.
This water pipe dates back to 1904 or 1905.
1905? It's
yes.
110
Over
years
100
old.
years old.
Rain runoff flooded the sewer pipes, which cracked. Water pipes rest on top, then they broke.
And I think I can see the road falling, sinking in, so it's getting bigger. And now with the rain, it's going to get worse.
Suesh Joshi lives right at the intersection. It kept sucking the street. Finally stopped when it became a 20 by 30 by 10-foot hole. There was a similar sinkhole up Lake Street 2 years ago. Again, aging pipes, which leads to the obvious question. Why don't you fix these things?
We're doing our best. You know, we have water main breaks and sewer breaks all around the city every day. We have crews dispatched dealing with this 24/7. We just have aging infrastructure.
And it gets older every day. Yeah, aren't we all? The sinkhole is not expected to be finished until Friday, and they hope More rain doesn't hurt that. Coming up at 6, we'll take a look more into San Francisco's aging and crumbling infrastructure. In San Francisco, Mike Sugerman, KPIX 5.
Well, the new span of the Bay Bridge didn't hold up very well in this big rain deluge. It got its first major pothole. Yeah, check it out. Large hole opened up in the westbound lanes right before Treasure Island. Caltrans closed 2 lanes for about 20 minutes mid-morning to make emergency repairs. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, rain was little too much for this underpass beneath Highway 101. 3 cars were submerged along Cesar Chavez. Ironically, one driver told us he pulled off the freeway to get out of the rain. Another had to swim to safety.
And some San Jose drivers couldn't see a giant puddle of water before slamming into it at full speed. And this was at southbound 280 at the Highway 87 off-ramp. A police officer came on scene to block the exit. One driver goes around the patrol car, hydroplanes, and stalls out in the water. The officer waved flares to stop cars from driving through the water after one car tried to snake through the blockade. The officer threw a flare at the driver. That car went through the puddle anyway.
150 flights were canceled today at SFO because of all this wet weather. Most of the flights are to and from airports on the West Coast. Other flights have been delayed up to 90 minutes. BART, yeah, passengers got stranded during the morning commute because of a small fire on the tracks in San Francisco. Dozens of people were waiting on platforms for their train about 8 o'clock. Small fire near the Embarcadero station caused major delays for service into and out of the city. It ended up causing a backlog system-wide.